So this is brought to you by our friends at AMC Theatres. Coming in at number 1 is the final installment of the Hunger Games franchise, Mockingjay Part 2, which made $101 million, and that is by far the lowest opening weekend total for the Hunger Games series. Coming in at number 2 is the James Bond film SPECTRE, making $14.6 million on its third weekend, bringing its worldwide total up to $677 million. In the third spot is Charlie Brown's Peanuts movie, making another $12.8 million. In fourth, the new comedy The Night Before, making $10.1 on its opening weekend. And rounding out the top 5 is The Secret in Their Eyes, bowing in with $6.6 million in its opening weekend. Mark, what stands out to you in this week's box office report?
Well, The Hunger Games not doing what its predecessor did. Mockingjay Part 1 made $120 million opening weekend, and Part 2, I guess people didn't really care what was going to happen, or maybe it wasn't marketed quite as well as previously. I'm racking my brain to figure out why, but still, over $100 million is not a disappointment by any stretch of the imagination, particularly when you look at the other movies at the box office this weekend. The ones that were opening, The Secret in Their Eyes, under $10 million. The Night Before, barely $10 million. That's the big disappointment to me, because it was a really funny movie. It wasn't the multi-generational Christmas comedy that you might expect. There was a lot of drug humor in there, a lot of sophomoric humor that made guys like me laugh. I'm surprised more people didn't go out to see that movie opening weekend. Maybe it picks up steam as we get closer to Christmas, but I'm very interested to see what Mockingjay Part 2 does in its second weekend, because if it's a little bit below its predecessor, how's it going to hold up in further weeks?
Yeah, I think the two big surprises to me, number one is The Night Before doing 10. I pegged it at 30 because I look now. I haven't seen it yet, but the marketing for it was wonderful. I thought the trailers were hilarious. You got 3 very bankable guys, and it's a holiday season. I don't get it. The 10 million, I do not get. The other shock to me, I'm not going to say shock, but the notable thing here is the Hunger Games, the final film of the franchise, and it is by far, as Sinead was saying, the lowest opening for a Hunger Games film. The first Hunger Games movie opened to $152 million opening weekend. The second Hunger Games movie opened to $158 million opening weekend. Took a big dive for the third one, like you were pointing out, down to 121, and now an even bigger dive down to 101. Now look, it's still opening at over $100 million. That's a good day by anybody's book. But when you consider that the franchise, I think, has been pretty strong up till now, that, 152, 158, and then it started doing this, especially after that second film, I think was the best film of the franchise. I love the second Hunger Games movie a lot. Then to see it take a dive after that, that to me, I was not expecting that. I did not like the newest Hunger Games film, so that might have something to do with it. But I did expect it to do, I pegged it at 120. So this was a bit of a surprise to me. Schnepp, what stands out to you?
Can't we really just call part 1 and 2 one movie and say that it made together $240 million in a combined weekend universe? I don't know. I think it's like people are not as excited about it. They're still made $100 million in a box office where everything else was like barely cracking 15 million. I mean, you have holdovers.
They sucked it all up.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, Spectre and Peanuts absorbed what The Night Before would have gotten, because those movies are just like, families want to see Peanuts, everybody else wants to see the new James Bond movie, and then everyone else who's already seen that wants to see The Hunger Games. So that's kind of like all the other movies were like, I can't wait to see The Night Before, but I think that movie will actually pick up next week and the following week as we get closer to Christmas, because that's a Christmas movie.
I don't know if it'll pick up, man. We got Creed coming out. We got The Good Dinosaur.
Well, I don't mean it's going to make 30 million. I just mean it might make next week. It might make 12 million.
Right.
I'm just saying it'll make
if it wants to, it should put up posters of Spectre and Peanuts on its wall at home, because those have held up great. I mean, look, I'm impressed by Spectre and how well it's holding. It was less than 50% drop off, or just around 50%. Same thing with Peanuts, which I'm thrilled about, because I love Peanuts. Everybody should see that movie. And it's funny, because on Jedi Council, we talked about how Hunger Games was actually more anticipated by the female demographic than Star Wars: The Force Awakens was.
According to that one study.
So my question is, according to that one study, where were all the women this weekend? What were you guys doing? This is why I'm such a moron when it comes to dating girls. Even though I have a girlfriend now, what was she doing this weekend?
They were watching Jessica Jones, dude.
Some of us have to work.
What were you doing this weekend, Blue Belt? Were you fighting crime?
Working my butt off.
She was practicing to be the next Jessica Jones.
There is one other thing that's of note here. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, so I believe this was the first weekend that The Martian has not been in the top 5 in 8 weeks.
That's right.
And it's 8 weeks. It's just 8 weeks and it's finally out of the top
Hell
5.
of a run. Hell
Well,
of a
We
run.
didn't mention it because we were sick of seeing Matt Damon's face on that. Top 5. There's Damon again. Get him home already. Still on Mars. Finally got him home.
Hey guys, if you like this clip, click here to watch the entire episode. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel because it'll help you stay up to date with all the stuff we've got going on here at Collider.